Members of Parliament, ministers and support staff, all of you in the public tribune, ladies and gentlemen, all of you tuned in to the continuation of this meeting, Central Committee meeting number 20 that started this morning, allowing the government on its request to provide Parliament with information in as far as they can on G.E.B.E. and as it has come to be called, the crisis in terms of electricity supply. We adjourned at about 3 p.m. to allow the both ministers, Prime Minister Marcelina and Acting Minister of Romy, Mrs. Janssen-Webster, to go over the questions posed by members of Parliament and come back in order to provide as many answers as they can today. So with that introduction to all, welcome back. And I now give the floor to the Prime Minister to respond to the questions posed by members of Parliament after an intense debate on the matter of G.E.B.E. and our electricity supply. Prime Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, President of Parliament. I will go directly into the answers to the questions posed by the members of Parliament. The first is MP Otley. There has been a lot of questions posed here in our session this morning. We went through them for so far we had a time. Actually, we managed to get half of the questions answered, and I think that we will have to have a follow-up meeting to give continuation to the answers of the rest of the questions. 1 hour was too short for us to have all the answers ready, but I will give now the answers that I have already. I'm going to start with MP Otley. Mr. Otley would like to have a plan. What is the way moving forward? As I said already, I provided the vision moving forward, that the containers, generator containers, will be the first action plan, and followed afterward with the ordering of course, the big 3 units, each of 9 megawatt, and then the long-term vision that starts actually as of now, but will have continuation on the long term, especially after 2 years from now, is the one of renewable energy. For those that are still in doubt, that they still feel that a good decision was not proposed to Parliament, I can confirm that the Supervisory Board has approved the mission to order containers. We have 2 options of proposals still of containers to analyze, but in principle it's a matter of just doing our homework this week to actually take the decision to order, because the Supervisory Board already approved that the mission can be accomplished to order the containers. So there is no doubt that containers will be ordered. We are just looking still at 2 options. One of them is the one that MP Emmanuel was giving us as an alternative to what we were busy with already. Second question of MP Otley is, signs of relief can be expected. When can some sign of relief be expected? With the ongoing discussions and a holistic approach, up to 3.5 months, we will have still to deal with the situation. If the large companies can get off the grid by supplying themselves with their own generators, perhaps that will be more a ease situation for us to handle the coming 3.5 months. MP Akeem Arundel, we don't know what to expect from G.E.B.E. The people want to know the short and long-term solutions. I have just already elaborated on the solutions moving forward. Secondly, who is part of the IT? The same staff at the G.E.B.E. is still active in the IT, and there is a temporary manager in the form of a consultant to assist with the IT project. until a new IT manager is hired. Why are the clients still getting invoices while they have paid already? Just because you're getting invoices does not mean you did not pay. So actually, they pay sometimes a fixed amount because of sometimes delay in the invoices, and they still get that invoice, but that does not mean that they did not pay. What is the long-term vision for the energy supply? We are looking at what I said, the 27 megawatts that has to be ordered in 3 generator units. Renewable energy is part of the planning as well. We start now. I think there was just now a misunderstanding as if we're going to start thinking about renewable energy 2 years from now. No, it's part already of the process, but ultimately in 2 years from now that can be executed. And of course, load shedding can always happen unforeseen if we have some failure of units that we are not expecting to surprise us in a negative way. MP Kotai is suggesting to have a discussion with the APS for co-financing for the units, the 3 units of 9 megawatts. And I can confirm that the APS is one of the institutions that is being looked to try to contribute to the group of the consortium to solve the problem with G.E.B.E. Up to what year are there audited financial statements? Until now, we have audited financial statements until the calendar year 2019. There are drafts now for 2020 and 2021. The drafts are done, but officially finalized, it's the calendar year 2019. Question 3, where have looked for financing? Okay, where did the GB look for financing? The financing that in the form of the consortium group, we have looked into the islands of St. Martin, Curaçao, and Aruba. Unfortunately, no names can be divulged at this particular moment, but the consortium are those in the kingdom, especially Curaçao and Aruba, and also St. Martin itself. And what is the rate being offered? The negotiations are going about a percentage rate of 5.5 until 6.5%. The MP is asking some information and update on alternative energy. The alternative energy has always been part of the discussions, and I said just now it was a misunderstanding that we're not looking into that and start thinking about that in 2 years from now. No, that is already included. By the way, the World Bank is also very involved into the alternative energy for the long term for St. Martin. Question 5 is, why no more studies for alternative energy? A study was done in 2014 and 2015, and actually the prediction should be that there should be some direction of significant contribution of renewable energy in 2025. What is the best option for renewable energy for Country St. Martin? Until now, solar panels are the best option, but a technical team is looking at the most viable solution for St. Martin. MP Marlin, the Central Committee requested last week Friday. Is this to be held today, or is this Central Committee meeting the closed-door meeting of today? I think that the President of Parliament already provided in her introduction an explanation, an elucidation on this specific Central Committee meeting of today. Question 3 of Mr. Marlin, will we be hearing a proposed solution for us to debate from? The proposed solution has been provided this morning towards solution for the crisis that we are encountering. MP Roosburg, what are the long-term and short-term solutions? We discussed that already. MP Emmanuel, he just wanted to know who will be answering the questions, COM or G.E.B.E. The answers will be answered through the Secretariat of the Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers Secretariat is actually the one making the notations while the questions are being posed. And at the end of the day, it's the COM that gives answers after consulting the G.E.B.E. management and board in case that is necessary. MP La Cruz, if engine 19 has crankshaft, what does it mean for the load shedding? If engine 19 is out, what does that mean for the load shedding? In principle, engine will be operational by the end of July. So if everything is okay, if it's possible to replace the crankshaft, by the end of July that will be ready. That engine 19 can deliver 10.5 megawatts to the grid. That will help for sure with the load shedding. And engine 8 is expected to contribute also to be back in 3 to 4 weeks. What is the meaning of COO? The meaning is Chief Operating Officer. Who was the COO? The COO was Mrs. Veronica Jansen-Webster from November 1st, 2016 until October the 31st, 2020. Can we get a calculation about the costs, what it will cost to bring a barge? If we bring the barge for 24 months, it will cost average $93.6 million for 24 months, $3.9 million per month. How long will it take to bring a barge or containers? A barge will be 6 weeks and containers approximately 3 to 3.5 months. MP Jacobs wants to hear status update and in finding solution. We spoke about that already. Wants to know about the update of the meeting that was organized, scheduled for Friday. I think the President of Parliament gave in her introduction explanation about that. Where are we and where are we and where are we going with the solutions? Solution is the containers will be ordered. And as I said, we have approval of the supervisory board for those containers. So the containers will be ordered. We only have to look into 2 additional proposals of other 2 companies to make the right decision. MP Emmanuel, we could answer a few questions now, but there are a few more that we will come back to, hopefully in a week's time. Why is load shedding necessary? Actually, the moment that you have a shortage in your capacity to fulfill the demands, you will have to redistribute the energy constantly to provide everybody with enough energy in average to be able to move forward in life. In terms of solution, who made the assessment for whatever possible solution that is being presented now? The one that did the assessment now is Energynautics. That is the one that advised G.E.E.B.E. at this particular moment with the choices that has been made until now. Another question is it true or not true that the chief engineer of G.E.B.E. resigned? That is what was circulating on Facebook. No, that is not correct. It's a mechanic that resigned, not an engineer. We have a problem with the crankshaft of one of the engines. How long did G.E.B.E. know that there was a problem with that crankshaft? G.E.B.E. knew about that problem since May 2nd, 2024. When it comes to service, what is G.E.B.E. doing at this particular moment to increase the service? What sort of comfort is being offered? The answer is that the commercial building was recently refurbished and they are looking now in the possibility to organize a senior line in the building. What is the temporary manager's approval rate amongst staff and workers at G.E.B.E.? The answer is there has been no information concerning this because no survey was done among staff concerning this topic. Then we have Mr. Brug. Who appoints the management board and who the supervisory board? The supervisory board is appointed by the shareholder rep and the management board is appointed by the shareholder rep upon recommendation of the supervisory board. During the candid conversation, temporary managers saying not responsible for what happened before. MP has an issue with that. When the temporary manager started, there was an assessment done to find out the real situation. When the temporary manager started, was there an assessment done on the findings of the situation of G.E.B.E. at that particular time? The answer is yes, an assessment was done and presented to the Council of Ministers and shareholders in February 2023. Did G.E.B.E. have a contingency plan to follow in case of a system failure? There is a N-2, which means two of the larger engines can come offline, but can still produce the needed amount of energy. So there is a plan at place how to deal with these acute situations. Did management know the lifespan of the engines? Yes, management is aware of the lifespan of the engines. In what year was the engine situation first brought to light? It was brought to light in 2022. I think until now these are the answers that we could answer. It's approximately, I think, half of the questions that has been posed could be answered. So actually I'm requesting or proposing to the President of Parliament if we can reschedule a follow-up meeting, because we really think this is such an important topic that of course we will have to give continuity on a short term. And if it's for me, it would be a good idea if we can do it, for example, next week Monday, but it's up to the President of Parliament. In closing, before I finalize the answers, I think it's very important for the people of St. Martin to understand that we are fully aware of the energy crisis that we are in at this particular moment. It's not that there are no solutions, there are solutions, and the solution has been discussed. The supervisory board has approved the ordering of the generator containers. The management board now has to do their homework for us to be able to, hopefully this week, be able, after considering 2 more options, to order the containers. And as has been explained, the containers, once ordered, can be here on the island in 3 to 3.5 months from now. And we will have to find other ways, like, for example, discussing with the big hotels, for example, those big consumers, to see how we can get them off the grid by actually stimulating them to make use of their own generator plans for us to be able to manage the coming 3 to 3.5 months. Further, of course, it depends a little also how we're going to go through these 3.5 months, if we could be able to get back engine 19 operational for the country. That will, of course, add another 9 to 10 megawatts back to the grid, and that, of course, will give a relief for the load shedding that we are all experiencing at this particular moment. I have one more statement to make. I think it's a misunderstanding that in the beginning I used the word expensive. What I meant with expensive, that it's not affordable with the finance status that we are in, having to solve the problem of ordering something at this particular moment. We had to make a choice between containers and a batch powerboat, and seeing the visibility of the financial status of G.E.B.E., it was not possible. G.E.B.E. could not afford to make the choice for a barge powerboat. It's not that it's too expensive. It is expensive, but that was not a reason. I think I used the wrong word. It's not about being expensive. It's about not being able to afford the costs once you commit to order a barge boat, for clarity's sake. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for those responses. Members of Parliament, I want to give you the opportunity to ask for clarification regarding information provided, and following that, I will then go over to inform you of the rescheduling of the continuation of this meeting and what we would expect by that time. So I see that MP Silveira Jacobs is requesting the floor. MP Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the answers provided thus far. I just needed clarity as to whether the question I posed regarding the N-1 or 2 scenarios that have been presented, if that was the explanation or if that's still coming, because I didn't hear the explanation in that.
No, there is a lot of answers still following. We didn't have enough time in this last hours to make sure to get all the questions answered, so you will for sure get follow-up on that.
And Madam Chair, with your permission, since they are going to be answering questions, the government next week, you said? Or whenever you decide, can I add a question to then be provided in that time? The cost of the generators that are being ordered, the container generators, will this have an impact on the consumers? The cost of the generators that have been ordered or will be ordered, how will this impact consumers, if at all? Yeah, that's the one I was missing, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, MP Jacobs. And I saw MP Marlin requesting. You have the floor, MP Marlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like clarity on a question that I posed and up to now didn't get answered, but I keep hearing the question being repeated. Madam Chair, through you, I would like to ask the following. I keep hearing about a proposal of containerized generators from MPs in the coalition, I asked specifically, can this information be shared with the members of parliament also? Because I'm hearing that the board of directors already gave the approval to order the generators, the
Yes.
containerized generators,
Yeah.
but is awaiting to research other proposals. And then when I listened to the member of parliament speak, he said that proposals was given that will be a lot faster than the 3 months or the 3.5 months proposed and a lot cheaper. So if there is a faster, cheaper, and equal result generator available, why aren't we going that route? And why are we waiting weeks or even months to order that containerized generator so relief can be given to the people of St. Martin? Thank you.
Thank you, MP Marlin. And I now have MP Brug. MP Brug, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much for answering some of the questions. Just a clarification question. You stated that the two other options of the container, the container generators are going to be looked into. When can we expect a decision on this aspect? Because of course, the longer we take to make a decision, the more that the people are suffering. So when can a final decision be made on which company we're going to be using and those other small details? That is very important as well.
Thank you, MP. Sorry. Thank you, MP Brug, for those additional questions. MP Irian, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Yes, I also would like very specific clarity. The Prime Minister mentioned through you, Madam Chair, that the board already approved the containerized generators. But now the Prime Minister also mentioned that he just received a proposal from MP Christophe Emmanuel. So is the board given a blanket approval? Or I would assume the board will now have to get the new information of the new entity to give approval. So what approval is, what is the board approving, or what have they approved? Approved financing? Have they approved that, hey, we're not going to barge, we're going to containerized generators? What exactly did the board approve? In addition to that, Madam Chair, I think I asked a question also to the Minister of Rummy and Acting Minister of Rummy regarding investors, Madam Chair. We have investors on the ground now. We have developers on the ground now, and I think that's a question that is in the hands of the minister, if she is going to revoke building permits or not. I don't think that's a question that needs to be researched or needs to wait until next week. I think that everyone that's contributing to the development of the country deserves to have an idea or direction where the Council of Ministers is going.
Thank you, MP Irian. I now go over to MP Roseburg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question provided so far. I had a question in regards to where we're standing with Article 36 of the statute. My question was not answered in regards to that. Maybe it's still coming, but if the Prime Minister can clarify that in regards to the assistance that is based on our kingdom affairs. Where are we with that? And then in regards to also the groeifonds and the different funds that I referred to in my question previously. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Roseburg. And I now give the floor to MP Lacruz.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you. And Madam Chair, through you to the Prime Minister, I heard him call my name answering a couple questions that I did not ask. So if he could look into that, because no questions were answered that I asked. And specifically the question that I really like an answer to is that question concerning the type of generators that we're going to, container generators that we're bringing here now. Are they diesel again? And why are we not paying attention to what was already approved by the Council of Ministers in 2014? And yeah, that'll be all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. And I look to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, are there any of the clarification questions asked that you can respond to now? Would you request a few minutes to do so?
I think the question of Mr. MP Brugge concerning when can we expect a decision, the idea is that the decision for the ordering is, the way I understood it in my communication with G.E.B.E, will be this week. That is in time span the answer that I can give you. Concerning the question of Mr. MP Irian, the board took a decision that the generators, the container generators, are going to be the option. And seeing the proposals for the generators that they had until now, a decision was taken already. And the proposal, for example, the containers of Mr. Christopher Emmanuel, if they are more favorable, more cheaper, of course that will be considered in the ordering. But the approval is there already to order, and every option that is more favorable for G.E.B.E and for our people will be considered, and the choice will be taken to do what has to be done. So it's approved by the supervisory board, and the containers will be ordered, and it's a question alone just for us to give the other options a realistic chance. They're going to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, MP. Thank you, PM Marcelina, for those clarifications. And that would mean that some additional questions have been added to those for which answers are yet to be provided. I see some MPs requesting the floor once again. I start with MP Irian. MP Irian, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam Chair. I did also pose a question to the Minister, the Acting Minister of Romy, and haven't gotten a response.
Acting Minister of Romy, can you go into the question by MP Irian at this moment?
Good afternoon. Yes, I can, Madam Chair.
Then I would invite you to please do.
Regarding revoking of building permits, no decision has been taken to revoke any building permits that have been issued. Regarding if we have spoken to investors, to large investors, yes, we have spoken to several large investors, and the main thing that we told the large investors was asking them to, in accordance to within the limits of the concession, to whatever they build, to be to try to be self-sufficient with renewable energy, because the concession, I think it's Article 2, states that you can produce energy for own use up to 500 kVA, which is not much. However, if you want to produce more, you can ask G.E.B.E in writing for permission, and seeing the current issues that are going on, you will quite certainly get that kind of permission. But what was answered at the time by the large investors is that they won't be ready with their building until maybe in 2 years. And we, with everything that is happening, the short-term and the long-term planning here, we should have stable electricity within the 2 years. However, we are still asking all large investors to invest in that self-generation using renewable energy.
Thank you, Minister Janssen. I see that MP Marlin has an additional comment or question. MP Marlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, the question is basically specific. Can the information where Prime Minister Marcelina is stating that there are other options that a specific MP proposed, can this be shared with the members of Parliament? Simple, straight to the point, direct. It appears as if we talk about transparency, but then when we ask for transparency, it becomes a closed-door issue. I see the Prime Minister is now asking the MP permission to give us information. I don't think the one MP alone can decide. all 15 MPs in here are equal, and we would like to have the information. I thank you.
Prime Minister, you wish to go into that question at this moment?
I have no problem to share that information with the members of Parliament. I will send it to the President of Parliament, and she will distribute it to all of you, the proposal of MP Christopher Emmanuel. No problem.
I see MP Christophe Emmanuel requesting the floor. MP Emmanuel, you have the floor.
Change my mind.
Oh, no longer necessary. Okay, thank you, MP. Thank you, Prime Minister. I see MP Irian.
Yes, so my last clarification, just so we can move on with this topic until the Prime Minister returns, I believe, next week, Monday. So just for clarity, or just for confirmation, the Minister of Economy mentioned that a discussion with some of the large developers has happened, and the government has asked them to take into consideration sustainable development, but that's a consideration. So at the end of the day, they don't have to build with that. Maybe they won't even include that. So at the end of the day, currently, all construction, all developers are continuing as is without a concern for the capacity of G.E.B.E, because that could only happen if a permit has been changed or revoked. So we've asked them to consider it, and then they get permission to do that if they want to, but it's not a must. So at the end of the day, we are continuing the same process as is.
Thank you, MP Irian. Minister Janssen, you going to address that?
It's not continuing the same process as usual because, as was mentioned, the large investors that we spoke to, that they will be online in 2 years, and in the 2 years, then G.E.B.E should have the permanent containers, so the long-term plan, already finalized. And in the meantime, this government has communicated to G.E.B.E, I was in the meeting, communicated to G.E.B.E about a number of large projects that are coming on stream now. So by then, G.E.B.E will know what to expect for the generation capacity that they will have in that period.
Thank you, Minister Janssen. I see MP Jacobs is requesting the floor. MP Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, as we go along, statements trigger questions, and since we're going to have some time to receive them, a statement made by Minister Janssen just now about permanent containers, and I believe one of my previous questions alluded to whether or not the grid connecting as well as renewable energy sources connecting to provide the energy. So I'm wondering whether the generators would be able to be powered in the future, since there be permanent purchases, by renewable energy sources such as wind, water, sun, etc. So if you don't know it now, it's not a problem, but it can be then added to the questions for the next session. Madam Chair, thank you for the answers provided. I think at the end of the day, we want this meeting to be closed with the people of St. Martin having a clearer idea as to what the plans are moving forward. And if you're saying by the end of the week we can get an update, then I look forward to getting an update on the, what is up with the crankshaft, what is possible, and whether or not the approval has been made for the, what I'm hearing now, permanent containers. You said permanent? Permanent generators. So you're not talking about the container ones, you're talking about the diesel engine ones. Okay, I understood you, permanent generators, while we were talking about the containers.
I think the minister has kind of clarified that while the answer...
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No, the point I'm making is that I think it was clarified while you were asking the question, because I saw the minister communicating or gesturing in terms of, yes, what it means or what was referred to. So that particular question has been answered in terms of what it is, and the minister was talking about the generators, the permanent generators, not the permanent containerized generators. So thank you for that, MP Jacobs, and the clarification, Minister Johnson. And in summarizing where we're at in this meeting, by next week, and I will be looking at Monday or Tuesday, the Prime Minister and Minister or Ministers are prepared to be back here at Parliament with the answers to the questions which have not been given yet. By that time, a decision regarding the crankshaft for engine 19 and whether that is repairable and usable for at least the medium term, that will be known. We will know that. The discussions with big businesses about coming off of the grid, those discussions will continue. So by Monday, next week, Monday or Tuesday, we should be able to get a further update on that as well. And the order for the containerized generators will be made this week. And a particular proposal, and Prime Minister, you would have to determine whether in providing the proposal by a member of Parliament, you will also provide Parliament with the other proposals, because then I think that comes into play as well. We'll get one, but what about the others? But you will have to determine as the Prime Minister and the government how you want to address that, given whatever stage they will be at that time that we receive it or that we receive those. The Prime Minister, members of Parliament, Minister, and support staff, I think that we have reached at least as far as we could have gone today on the meeting regarding G.E.B.E. I want to thank the ministers for the information provided, and I will leave this meeting open. In other words, the meeting will be adjourned until next week, Monday or Tuesday. I will confirm with the Prime Minister when he's ready with the answers, and then the meeting will continue. Members of Parliament as well as government will be informed when exactly the meeting will continue, but it will be next week. I want to thank you for recognizing, Prime Minister, the urgency and suggesting that we continue with the meeting next week when a few other issues will become clear, as well as decisions will be taken that can then be shared with the Parliament. Once again, to the ministers and their support staff, to the representatives of G.E.B.E. in the Tribune, Mr. Washington and Mr. Richardson, to the members of Parliament and our support staff, as well as to the people of St. Martin, thank you for, one, participating. Those are the members of Parliament and the government. And secondly, for the general population for being tuned in to this meeting. And I hope that with the questions and answers provided, that the people of St. Martin have a clearer view of where things stand today with respect to G.E.B.E. And I hope that some of the items that are still kind of up in the air before we know exactly, but that would shorten the process of the load shedding, etc., that is taking place, such as the crankshaft for engine 19, etc. I hope that those matters, when we get the final results on them, would really alleviate the situation that we're encountering right now until the more medium and long-term solutions can be had as well. Thank all of you once again, and I hereby adjourn this Central Committee number 20 meeting for today. Meeting adjourned.